Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, shots fired near Triangle Town Center in Raleigh, leaving behind damage at least 2 businesses. What we know about the effort to find the shooter.
And it's a chilly start. You might run into some patchy frost in our northern counties, but I'll show you why it'll be much colder tomorrow morning.
Remarkable recovery. A high school football team is returning to the field tonight after one of its players went into cardiac arrest last week and is recovering. How he's staying near football as he works his way back to full health. Certainly those stories and more as we're covering this morning on WRAL News. Thank you so much for choosing us to wake up and start your Friday morning. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Renee Chu. We love having you up with us at this hour. Hoping to see a little more sunrise today, but not until a little bit later this morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with why we have a frost advisory.
So it looks like we might be fairly chilly overnight last night, but we did have some clouds roll in. It's a little bit breezy. Temperatures are just not going to fall down into the 30s widespread across our area, but up near the Virginia line, we certainly have the potential for some frosty conditions. 36 in Roxborough, 38 in South Hill. So from those areas, low-lying or rural parts could see some patchy frost. Elsewhere, our temperatures are mostly in the mid to upper 40s. It's 46 degrees here in the Triangle right now and clear skies at the fairgrounds. It's going to be a pretty day, but we also have increased fire danger like the last several days. Still a little breezy, not as windy as yesterday, but we're so dry that you're encouraged not to do any outdoor burning again today. We'll climb into the upper 60s this afternoon with plenty of sunshine. It's a good looking day to get outside. We are watching Tropical Storm Melissa, which will soon become a hurricane and could bring what the National Hurricane Center is calling catastrophic conditions to both Haiti and Jamaica. We'll talk more about that coming up. Grant?
Yeah, watching a new crash. This is going to be off Hillsborough Street near Meredith College Street. So this is going to be very close to the exit off of 440 off Hillsborough Street, just on the east side of the interstate. Seeing a crash there. Not seeing any major delays on Hillsborough Street so far, but if we see any more delays this morning, we'll let you know about them. Again, this is just a crash off of Hillsborough at Meredith College Street. Tune us in the radio, 115 HD3.
Thank you, Grant. Breaking news, at least 2 North Raleigh businesses were hit by gunfire overnight. This happened near Triangle Town Center. Ali Calabar is live at the scene in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. And Ali, you've even spoken with an employee of one of those businesses about what happened.
That employee here at the Spectrum tells me she closed the store an hour before this mess happened. And you can see that mess behind me. You can see where one of those bullets went through this door and then went through that Apple display. Oh, I think we just set off the alarm here. But taking you to this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, you can see just some of that damage left behind. Raleigh police say it happened at 11:30 last night. There were no injuries reported and no arrests have been made. It also hit another business down the way, Mariner Finance. But listen to this. We're trying to figure out what happened. We scrubbed through Broadcastify radio traffic. Listen to this. Police saying that they saw somebody running away from the scene.
I have shots fired at Triangle Town. I have on the suspect, Navy Federal. I have one looks to be wounded running away. Don't have eyes on anymore.
Again, we're working to find out what happened here, and this is the Mariner Finance business that had that gunfire as well, and you can see one of those bullet holes tagged outside of the business. We're going to keep you updated. Reporting live in Raleigh, Ali Calabar, WRAL News.
Very sensitive alarm there. All right, thank you, Ali. Wake County deputies identified the suspect in a chase that briefly shut down the I-40 ramp yesterday at Lake Wheeler Road. The sheriff's office says Jaquan Page is facing multiple charges in this, including fleeing and eluding arrest. Sky 5 was above that scene yesterday afternoon on Lake Wheeler Road. In fact, a witness told WRAL they saw law enforcement chasing the suspect's car as it came speeding off the interstate. The car then hit a work vehicle on the shoulder, and a man was seen being loaded into an ambulance after the crash. He was later identified as Page, and the sheriff's office says Page was speeding on I-40 near Gorman Street, but he didn't pull over, and that is when deputies tried to stop him. A mother is charged in a crash that killed her 3-year-old son, and this happened last week on Audrey Mill Road in Sampson County. Court documents show 33-year-old Brittany Simmons has a misdemeanor death by vehicle charge. Highway Patrol says that she ran off the road and overcorrected, and that caused the car to flip several times. Her 2 other children were also injured in this crash, and troopers say Simmons was the only one wearing a seatbelt.
Wake Preparatory Academy will have in-person classes today with beefed up security. Students moved to remote learning yesterday because of a police investigation. The charter school did not elaborate, but said law enforcement is involved in the situation. The school will have more officers on campus today. However, they say there is no known threat to students or staff.
Happening today, Cleveland High School is playing its first football game tonight since one of its players collapsed on the field. Last week, wide receiver Christian Clark went into cardiac arrest after making a catch. Let's bring in Kelsey Coffey. She's live this morning at Cleveland High School. And Kelsey, Christian is already back in the classroom.
Yes, Chris, and that's great news tonight. Cleveland High School football players will be back here on the field after that scary moment last week. We did get an update from Christian Clark's family. They say that he was able to come back to class yesterday, and he also was able to be on the sidelines just to support his teammates during practice last night. We'll show you that video now from the football game last week against Southeast Raleigh, where Christian went into cardiac arrest on the field. Coaches and trainers leaped into action performing CPR. His parents left the stands and rushed to the field. Christian's father, Chris, performed chest compressions. They were eventually able to use a defibrillator to restore his son's heartbeat.
We almost lost our son, and so we just couldn't thank God and thank people that worked with him enough.
Wow, and Chris says that his son did have a cardiac MRI yesterday. So tonight on WRAL, our health reporter Grace Haba speaks with the doctor about how a hard hit can cause a heart attack that's more common in kids. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Johnston County.
And we'll have more coverage of Christian's recovery after what happened on the field, and you can catch that in our evening newscast starting at 4 p.m.
Congressman Don Davis is responding on camera after the state legislature approved a new congressional map this week, one that specifically targets his district. Davis is a Democrat. He currently represents District 1 in the northeastern part of our state. The new map is drawing him out of District 1 and putting him in District 3, giving Republicans an advantage in next year's midterms. We asked Congressman Davis if he plans to run again given this change. He wouldn't confirm, but he indicated he's preparing for a run. Now, he did express frustration when he learned of the plan to redraw the map, calling for an end to redistricting altogether.
We need a national ban on mid-decade redistricting. It doesn't matter, Texas, California, Missouri, Kansas. We just need to pull together and support an end to this. This is not good for anybody. It's not good for Democrats. It's not good for Republicans.
Davis went on to say he won't stop fighting for the people of eastern North Carolina, no matter what map is drawn. The North Carolina Republican Party this week praised state lawmakers for doing their part to protect the GOP majority.
Bishop William Barber and supporters say they're going to challenge the new congressional map, though. Barber called the new map an attempt to silence black voters by dividing a strong black voting bloc in eastern North Carolina. Republican leaders insist they did not use racial data to draw this map, but Barber argues they don't need the data to do it because they know where voters are. The group has not yet filed a lawsuit, but says it likely will do so in the next 2 weeks.
Here's a live look at Capitol Hill this morning as the federal government enters day 24 of the shutdown. And it looks like it will continue into the weekend because the Senate is not expected to be in session today. This week, federal workers will be missing their first full paycheck since the shutdown started. Yesterday, Senate Democrats blocked a bill that would have paid essential workers. The bill did not include furloughed workers. Some Democrats have called for all federal workers to be paid during the shutdown.
We'll get a better idea of what you're paying for food and other necessities today, and that's because the latest consumer price index is releasing. It was supposed to come out 9 days ago, but the shutdown and the government delayed it. This report will give us a look at inflation numbers from September, but the government shutdown prevented data collection for October.
The NC Governor's Highway Safety Program is preparing to launch its Halloween Booze It and Lose It campaign. The program will be announced this morning at the State Fair. Increased patrols will begin on Monday and run through November 2nd. The goal to minimize the number of impaired drivers on the road and to inform drivers about the risks of driving while under the influence.
UNC filed a motion to dismiss a lawsuit accusing the school of breaking the law when it hired Coach Bill Belichick. The university calls that lawsuit from a former provost wasteful. Chris Clemens accuses the university of violating open meetings laws to make academic and athletic decisions. The complaint says this includes closed sessions during the process of hiring Belichick. And Clemens was the university's executive vice chancellor until he resigned back in May.
Just hours away from the start of the final weekend of the North Carolina State Fair. Gates open at 9 this morning as we take a live look. The fair runs through Sunday. Now, if you are going tonight or tomorrow night, be aware of heavy traffic because of concerts happening nearby at the Lenovo Center.
In fact, Renee, the artist who is performing tonight was spotted at the fair last night. Rapper NBA Youngboy was there, and video on Instagram shows him having a fun time with his family, and you likely will too if you go to the State Fair. And hey, if you're already going to be there, stop by the WRAL booth because Elizabeth Gardner and Carly Haynes will be there. That'll be this morning from 10:30 to 11:30, and then Amy Wilmoth and Mike Mays will be there from 2 to 3 this afternoon.
6:10 now. Charges after a chase. The suspect in a police pursuit in Wake County is still in the hospital. Police describe the moments leading to his arrest.
And fire dangers. How dry and windy conditions nearly turned things from bad to worse near a local busy highway.
And it's a chilly start this morning. Temperatures are in the 30s in the Virginia line area, so we could see some patchy frost there. Temperatures are likely to be much colder tomorrow morning. I'll show you that coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:14, we're starting off with clear skies this morning, but cool temperatures. We're going to be seeing temperatures mainly in the low to mid 40s as the kids are heading out to the bus stop. Unless you're up near the Virginia line, temperatures are in the mid 30s where there could be a little bit of patchy frost this morning. We have beautiful weather in our forecast. We hit 71 yesterday. Our temperatures as we get through the weekend will very slowly start to drop. So we're looking at upper 60s in the triangle for today, low 70s down south and mid 60s up to the north. We'll see mid 60s for highs all the way through the state fair for today, looking very nice at 68 degrees. It's going to be a touch breezy. We do have high fire danger again today, but everything at the fair looks really nice. We take a look at our temperatures going forward. Our highs continue to drop. As a matter of fact, they decided to drop right on off the screen for Monday and Tuesday. I don't blame that. We're looking at highs in the upper 50s. That'll be the first time we've seen that this season, Grant.
Yeah, so cool to be off the charts. How about that? Looks great for traffic-wise across our area, except for near Hillsborough Street and Meredith College Street. We have a crash reported there. Again, not seeing any major delays on Hillsborough Street this morning, but if you're headed towards the fair, you could see some minor delays this morning, headed westbound on Hillsborough Street this morning because of that crash. So far, though, so good by the State Fairgrounds. Wade Avenue looking good this morning. Tune us in the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Grant, thank you. Dry conditions across the area have officials on alert this week. New video shows just how close smoke came to homes near 540 last weekend. Investigators say it was from a series of fires intentionally set along the busy highway. The North Carolina Forest Service says the flames were so intense that crews flew a plane overhead for aerial support.
Very rare. That happens a lot in the mountains. It happens a lot in eastern North Carolina, rural areas, but when you're calling a scout plane for a wildfire in Raleigh off of 540, you know it's dry, and that's something that we don't see often.
The Wake County Sheriff's Office is investigating. Dry, gusty conditions have prompted local officials to pause outdoor burning. Several fire departments have battled small brush fires in the past week.
The man accused of leading authorities on a high-speed chase through Nightdale could be facing new charges. In fact, Sky 5 captured video you will only see on WRAL of this chase. And then the crash and the moment the driver jumped from his SUV and ran into 101 Kitchen. Anthony Mingo was taken out of the restaurant on a stretcher and is in the hospital in critical condition. Now, according to a police report, Mingo tried to take his own life.
That won't happen until he is, medically able to receive those charges and understand those charges. So at this point, he hasn't been charged. Obviously we know what he's going to be charged with, but we just got to wait until he's in a proper condition in order to be able to do that.
Nidale police said they expect to bring reckless driving and hit and run charges against him.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, New York Attorney General Letitia James set to make her first court appearance in a mortgage fraud case that is happening today. James was indicted earlier this month on charges of bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution in connection with a 2020 home purchase in Norfolk, Virginia. Rather than using the home as a second residence, the indictment alleges that James rented it out to a family of 3. President Trump has publicly called on the Justice Department to take action against James. And James, who has sued the Trump administration dozens of times, has denied any wrongdoing. She called the indictment, quote, nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system.
There are so many fun fall events and celebrations in the Triangle this weekend.
Yeah, let's take a look at WRAL's Out and About Best Bets. So the NC Symphony is getting in the Halloween spirit. Tomorrow, the band will be performing its Halloween Spooktacular. Ooh. The concert will include spooky classics and silly characters. There will be 2 shows at Mamandi Concert Hall in Raleigh, and that is at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And tickets are available online.
In Holly Springs, the town is hosting its annual Holly Fest tomorrow. The family-friendly event is free to attend. It will feature local artists, businesses, and food vendors. There will also be entertainment and lots of activities for the kids. That will be held at Bass Lake Park from 10 until 4. The town of Morrisville is also hosting its annual Diwali festival. Diwali is India's biggest and most important holiday of the year. Tomorrow's festival will include food and cultural performances. There will be a fireworks show to cap off the night, and that will be at Cedar Fork District Park from 5 to 8 p.m. For more weekend best bets, go to WRAL.com, search Out and About.
And if you happen to be celebrating Diwali this week, just be careful if you're shooting off fireworks, because you want to be careful, right? There's that dry condition that you've been following, Elizabeth. But the story this morning, we're talking about that frost advisory.
Yeah, we are. So temperatures are nice and chilly, especially up near the Virginia line. This is a live look, of course, at the fairgrounds this morning, where temperatures are in the mid-40s. We had some cloud cover roll in a few spots overnight. Cloud cover tends to hold in any daytime heating, acts as an insulating blanket. And from the Triangle area southward, we're just not going to see temperatures that are cold enough for any frost. 68 and for our high temperature this afternoon, 66 Saturday, 65 on Sunday. It's going to be a nice weekend to get outside at the fair or anywhere you want to be. There's a football game. UNC plays Virginia at home. 65 Sunday. We're going to see some increasing clouds for the Virginia versus UNC game. We're looking at some chilly temperatures in the morning. If you're going to be out tailgating before the game, temperatures will be in the 50s, but climbing into the mid-60s with lots of sunshine during the afternoon. It will feel like fall and nice and crisp. High pressure keeps things dry this weekend, but here comes our next weather maker. This arrives early on Monday morning. So this next weather maker will potentially help to develop a coastal low not associated with Melissa. But right now, this looks like it could be a pretty good soaking rain for us, which we desperately need. Here's a look at Futurecast. For the weekend, we're nice and dry. So we'll pause it right here Monday morning at 2 a.m. That's about the earliest we're likely to see rain. If you are planning to stay through the fireworks at the State Fair, check in with us just to be sure that that rain isn't moving any faster. But there it is, Monday morning. It stays with us at 5 p.m. on Monday. We start to see the low developing and moving up the coast, 7 a.m. on Tuesday, and it may last with some rain into Wednesday as well. How much are we likely to see total Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday together? Anywhere from an inch to maybe 2 inches, and we definitely need that rain. We're looking at drought conditions across the viewing area. All right, Melissa is 165 miles southeast of Kingston, Jamaica, winds at 45 miles per hour, but is likely to become a major hurricane by the time we get to early in the week and surround Jamaica and also have some big impacts in Haiti. The Hurricane Center is calling this potentially catastrophic. So that's not good. Our temperatures with the rain for us early in the week will be only in the upper 50s, Grant.
And no big issues with our drive time so far this morning. Watching a 1-minute delay from Knightdale south on 87 this morning. So keep that in mind for your morning commute as folks continue to head towards Raleigh. We could see some more delays. We are still watching one accident on Hillsborough Street near Meredith College, but not seeing any major delays from that crash this morning. Also looking at drive times towards Durham this morning. Not seeing any major delays there either. Just a 1-minute delay on 98 from NC 50 this morning. But west and eastbound on I-40 is looking good so far. You can tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
All right, thanks, Grant.
Outer Banks cleanup. Progress being made after several homes collapsed into the ocean, leaving behind a lot of debris. What contractors and residents are having to make their way through.
And getting the lights back on, Duke Energy is looking at new ways to help with responses to power outages. The technology officials say has already helped hundreds of thousands of customers.
If you see breaking news or have a story tip or take video or pictures of the weather where you are, report it to us. Go to WRAL.com/report it to send your video, pictures, or tip to our news team.
Teams are getting closer to finishing cleanup after 10 homes fell into the ocean on the Outer Banks. Work has been underway to clean up that big mess since the start of this month. Because of the large amount of debris, Dare County brought in a contractor to take the debris away. County officials expect the contractors to finish this work this week.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Stranger Things 5 and shoes that sound like they're kind of like from Back to the Future.
Let's take a look now at what's trending. First, we have the countdown on for the release of the final season of Stranger Things. The big finale is getting the movie theater treatment. Netflix confirmed there will be a limited 2-day run for the final send-off. The final hits theaters and drops on Netflix on December 31st.
And Netflix and other companies are doing this thing where they're trying to have some of their streaming content put into movie theaters to kind of get people into, because, you know, without movie theaters, we wouldn't have gotten to streaming. So,
well, and it's nice to bring fans together so you
Yes.
can share in that. You're giving that final send-off and saying goodbye to Stranger Things. It'll be big.
It'd be a tough loss to have that show gone. All right, so check this out. Nike is testing out a motor-powered robotic shoe. The shoe is designed to help people go faster and walk farther with less effort. Now, of course, this is not designed for athletes, rather for everyday people. It's still undergoing testing, and it's unclear when you can actually buy a pair.
And even if you're not a runner or jogger, even if you have a job where you stand a lot, could be something for you, and you can look like a cyborg doing it. But it's just supposed to increase mobility and make it more comfortable for you standing.
Comfort, that is what's key.
Business damaged. Raleigh police are investigating after reports of shots fired near Triangle Town Center, where police are searching for a suspect.
And bouncing back, a high school football player's recovery after going into cardiac arrest on the field last week.
And a nice day in our forecast. Walking the dog this afternoon. High temperatures will climb into the upper 60s, but I'll show you how cold it could be tonight. Some of the coldest air that we've seen so far this season.